You see here, kid? You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump. And you might think, what if I fall? Well, what if you don't? What if you fly?
Switching command to internal.
From the Collaborative Studios, Open the Eye, where metaphysical, paranormal, and the unexplained meet. Open the Eye with Tanya Tyler.
The moment that you wake from a dead sleep and are told, go outside, look up, and you see UFOs in the sky, what message are they giving to you? What message do they have? Why are they there? We're going to talk to Nancy, who is an energy practitioner, who this situation happened to. We'll get into all of that. But first, Nancy, welcome to the show. I want to ask, have you always been intuitive?
A very intuitive person, and I have had mystery experiences since a very young age, and so I've had to not just like sense and see things going on, but I had to figure out what was going on just for my own sanity. A lot of study of esotericism, Western 50 years, I guess.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the mystery stuff that happened when you were younger.
Started, I guess, in utero because I came into a family where there was a lot of violence, mental illness from my mother's side, and having to confront that, just be in that energy field from moment one. But there was also a lot of good too, so it was quite a stretch, a contrast there. And then when I was 4, I had a serious injury, during which I left my little body and I went to the ceiling and I floated around the ceiling, following my little body, walking around the house. So
somewhat of a near-death experience, it sounds like.
Definitely an out-of-body experience. Mm-hmm. Consciously leaving the body is like a basic skill that you do when you do a lot of spiritual practice, so you kind of get control of that. And I think I was used to doing that before I even came into this incarnation. And so when there was that injury, it's kind of a natural response to getting out of the pain.
How was your family with that? Because it sounds like your mom wasn't connected in that area.
No, I never told any of my family about it, ever. It just stayed with me. And but I had like a very active dream life, a lot of recurrent dreams that I know now were related to some previous life, recent life, very serious traumas that I hadn't worked through fully that were expressing themselves through these recurrent dreams. And just like a lot going on mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But then I also really was enjoying being a regular human, and I loved school, and I felt like I was a scientist, and I liked to study everything. I'm just like sort of an information sponge, and especially along those lines. And so I've been very grounded in normalcy at the same time, living this other world my whole life. So, and it just seems, now that I understand what's going on, and I have more control over, which one I focus on. It's a lot to manage, but I think it set me up for having these kinds of experiences like I had the other day.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about that experience. I want to just dive a little bit deeper into you. So when did you become really connected more and start doing more teaching?
Yeah, so initially, I went to college for psychology to UT, and then I moved to Illinois, got into computers, and I got a degree in data processing, and I was a computer programmer for those first 7 years throughout my 20s. And it was fine, but I always felt like it was like only accessing like a small part of my capacity. And then when I came back to Austin and got married, and I continued to be a programmer for another 6-7 years. But then I got pregnant and felt the strong need to become something other than that. Kind of like that pregnancy can thrust you into a much greater sense of yourself and the world. And so I started massage school, and like initially right away I was sensing things with people that other people weren't. I was able to like do things that other people just naturally without training, helping people. And
are you talking about with the massage, you're able to like maybe connect to their energy? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. I would kind of go directly into a level of their body mind that I just got all these reports about how profound the experience would be. And so that was, I really enjoyed that, still do. I'm still a body worker.
Nice.
And I feel like that has been my avenue of study and research as I go through the body and to the expression of the mind through the body, specifically through the traumas and tensions and just the woundings that show up in the body. And those are doorways to me that open up into the greater self. So that's how I've always approached that. And then people just started. I found some teachers, an esoteric Christian teacher and a couple of great energy teachers, energy work teachers. And then as soon as I did that, like all these people wanted me to start teaching, even though I didn't feel prepared, but I did. I guess that was in the 90s. And then that gradually developed into my 2-year program. Teach people how to develop their own psychic senses and also develop spiritually, if that is what they want to do.
Let's go back to the massage really quick. When you went through this, you said, okay, I'm in this kind of regular job. I come back to Austin. I go into the massage therapy school. I get this. I'm connecting to people on my table differently than other people, correct?
From what they would report, yes.
Were you already connected more into that? So you were like, okay, this is natural, or were you kind of like second guessing yourself? And was there some like insecurity that was coming up from that?
Oh, I second guessed myself for a long time. Still do occasionally, but I have a lot of confidence now. But I wasn't able to really comprehend what was happening or articulate it in any way. So I just started praying. And I just pray. Every time I worked on someone, I would pray to God or to angels or whoever would help me please understand what's going on and know more, see more, and help people more. I just, even from the time I was that little 4-year-old, I just knew that I was here to help people. And so that, and then, after doing that for many years, like all of a sudden, one day, everything just like blew open and I just started seeing everything energetically. On a person, in the world, in myself.
Did you have good support system with that? As that starts opening up and you start seeing this energy all around you?
I had people, I had teachers that were helpful to me at different moments, not like long-term ones. Had a really great therapist for a while because it, of course, put me into my own, healing my own psychospiritual wounds. I had my children who totally let me be me and can know me very well and relate to what I do and do some version of their own. There weren't a lot of people I could share it with because I was having experiences that even my teachers weren't really able to explain. So I felt like it was just me and spirit in some ways as far as like guidance goes. And then it wasn't until I really started studying esoteric Christianity, anthroposophy, Tibetan Buddhism, getting frameworks for understanding these greater bodies that we also live in and to more or less degree, usually less degree of consciousness. And I started seeing past lives in people's minds. I just started being able to read into people's minds And that was where I got my faith from, is because 100% of the time I would say what I was sensing, and they would always confirm it, the clients, so I didn't really need outer confirmation, validation. It was just the experiences people had confirmed that I was on the right track. And I had to learn how to trust that.
That's a big process.
It is. It's a kind of a brave thing to have to do, to like really, put yourself, just you and spirit, just sort of nakedly there, and ask for help and take your place as the little one and learn how to receive. It's really about learning how to receive.
What does that mean when you say it's really about learning how to receive?
It's how to receive something that's outside of your present level of knowing, something that's outside of your three-dimensional perceptive ability, something outside of like the consensus reality that we all like also live in and operate in all the time, and be okay with and help other people be okay with it. You can go into these places. There's healing here. There's very important information, not just for this life, but for your soul growth and for your future existence, if you trust your mind and allow yourself to open to what is beyond just what your ordinary ego self is used to thinking of as you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Moving through this, you're finding some teachers out there. How do you find the teachers? Where do you go about doing that?
Things were more in the open there, in my perception, because we were having like a Palmer Auditorium, or we would have like these big New Age type events where all of these different people would come from all over the place, and with healing modalities and information, and there were quacks and shysters, and you had to sort through all of that, New Age BS, and find the people that were seriously on the path and studying consciousness and understanding it. People like Greg Braden, would show up, or Deepak Chopra, and there were, and actually the crossings opened up in Austin, which was an extension of the school in New York, the New Age school. I can't think of the name of it right now. A very, very large, popular place. That's still in existence. And we would invite people from all over. We invited the Dalai Lama. We invited, all these different people, and they would all come and speak. So it was a more physical, three-dimensional experience then. There's a lot of stuff online now, granted, but that was really about connecting and forming like a culture, a social life of all these other people who were experiencing and interested in those same sorts of things, and would not think that you were crazy woo-woo person. There was New Age books down on South Lamar, a large bookstore with all sorts of wonderful spiritual books and energy books and ET stuff and self-help things, and it was just a lot more like the Austin American Statesman had a column once a week on New Age stuff.
Whoa!
I can't think of the name of that person who wrote that. Yeah, I've always wanted to like go back and look in the newspapers and get that, because it was so fun. It was like right on that lifestyle page. It was being normalized.
Interesting, isn't it? Like, it really has developed a little bit more now because you're seeing it a lot. What are your thoughts about now? Like, because when I see a lot of these people out and they're just chatting on social media, because it's like our number one place where people see each other, kind of makes me confused slightly of how do you do that without a grounding cord?
Well, the human mind is basically imagination, and it's imagination is like a perception ability to perceive what is invisible. And a lot of people, and when you go into like bridge the gap between like the regular physical 3D reality to these higher realities, you have to go through your imagination. And most people have a lot of, fantasy in their imagination, a lot of unprocessed wounds, a lot of distortions and overwhelming, and it's just not a clear conduit to that higher level. So they get caught in like these channeler thing. I've never liked channeling. I've never liked mediumship, and, because those are all like opening yourself up when you're not really, your spirit isn't solidly attached to your body. To me, that's what grounding is. Like you are aware of your body. You can feel it. You can get information from it. You can you can run things through it, like for discerning in order to discern, like, is what I'm hearing accurate? And most of what I hear, like online and stuff, it's maybe like at best like 50% accurate, according to my sort of spiritual science perspective and my studies and my own awarenesses from working on thousands of people and myself to the extreme, and opening up my organs of perception. But it's all okay because everyone has to go through their own process, and they have to go through their imagination and their fantasy. And then a lot of people use psychedelics, and that can help, and then it cannot help. It can activate more like hallucination type things that you start believing that that's all there is. And, it can definitely open doors of perception too, but, it's something that people seem to be very overly reliant on, some people these days. So it's a big messy process that we're all going through together.
I like that messy process. I love it. And I love how you say we all have to go through that process. We all have to go through that process, and we find
it's
our
all
journey.
Individual.
Yeah. We find the journey that we're on. And if it's not journey that we're not grounded, or if you're drawing people to you, I guess that's your own discernment that you have to find inside your heart really feels good, trying to live that life. I like that. Tell me a little bit about like some of your teachings that you do now, because you've got some teachings that you do, like you bring students on.
I have not been teaching in the last several years because I had some health issues that I was needing to work on, but I'm feeling a lot better now and feeling like I'm almost ready to get my program going again. Lotus Energy Work is what it is called, and it's a 2-year program, and like the first 6 months is it's really about spiritual development. It's getting an understanding of spiritual anatomy and energetic anatomy, structures, these invisible structures that are there, and how to become psychically aware, working on your third eye, connecting your heart and your head, grounding, learning how to connect and clear yourself, clear things, spaces. They're just kind of basic spiritual hygiene type of stuff. And then the next 6 months is where you start learning how to work onto others and look at someone energetically and use dowsing or different kinds of tools to sense like what are their chakras doing, what's going on, what kind of distortions are showing up. Do they have attachments? Are there people attached to them that are harming them in some way? Do they have entities? And there's just so much going on the invisible realm. The unprocessed traumas. Are they just stuck? And then like the next year is learning more and more techniques for how to get people raising their vibration through energy work, through hands-on and hands-off healing, through different processes to regression into things in this life or past life regressions.
This is all in your 2-year.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Wow, you've got
one of my friend student says, it's an encyclopedia of energy work.
We love that. Tell me a little bit about, like, do you work on clients now then?
Oh yeah,
Tell me a little bit about what your session looks like. How long is it?
like a couple hours, because people go into very deep processes. It starts out as just like a regular psychotherapy session, talking about what's going on with them, what they know about it, a little background, family background, or if they're going through a breakup, or just that sort of, letting them vent or emote, or, just kind of get fully present with what is the problem or the issue. And then while we're talking, I'm also looking at them energetically, and I'm saying, like, there's somebody grabbing your elbow over here, you have some soul part missing from your uterus, you have this past life trauma swirling around in your crown. Like, those are just some examples of things.
Yeah.
But all sorts of, whatever is the most relevant. Looking at interferences first, because you want to get other people's stuff off of you. That's a big part of the problem, is that we, in the last several thousand years, we've got so, like, energetically intertwined out of fear and clinging and trauma, and that it's like we can't even tell what's us and what's someone else anymore. Mm-hmm. And so it's like getting the interferences off you, whatever. You might be holding a burden from your great grandmother on your shoulders that you didn't know why your neck always hurt, and all this generational stuff shows up, and I always say when I'm seeing, and like I said, it's like 100% of the time they're like, oh yeah, that is it. And they elaborate on it, and once we get kind of clear of what we're doing, then I ask their system to prioritize, what it wants to work. It's all led by them, really, and their own higher self. And I connect to their higher self before they even get there, and I start asking for information. And so it's kind of all, actually, a lot of it's already there before they even walk through the door. But then they lay on my massage table and close their eyes and start breathing, and they go into a deeper place in their own mind where all of this transformational power is. And I'll do gentle touching, or I'll guide them into, experiences that need to be brought forward and cleansed or released or transformed. And as they're doing that, it's all very peaceful, and, they often cry, and they just release emotionally, or they just go into these deeply altered states and can barely hear me, but I'm describing what's going on. And while they're they're accessing their deeper soul power, and it's so intelligent, and it knows just what to do. I feel like I'm just holding the space while their spirit is doing the work.
How long is the session?
I have to tell people to allow 2 hours. But It usually takes that long for people to go into that kind of journey.
You and I connected because you had an experience that was really huge. And I want to talk about that. And I want to first take a break, but this has a lot to do with UFOs. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about that coming up. We're going to take a quick little break for our sponsors. We'll be right back. You're listening to Open the Eye. I'm Tanya Tyler. I've got Nancy, who is just an amazing energy worker. We'll be right back. We are back. Thank you so much for listening to Open the Eye. I'm Tanya Tyler. I've got Nancy, who is an energy practitioner. She is on every level the real deal. She's got so much valuable information. She does private sessions, and she might be sometime next year opening up and doing another school that she was doing. Is that right? Kind of like a class. So it's to be connecting to yourself and who you are, and this full human connection
to our greater self too.
to our greater self. I love it. So, Nancy, let's talk a little bit about this because I'm very intrigued about this, about the UFOs. Let's talk about how this all started, the beginning, the information that you came about with everything.
Okay. Well, I have not really, because I have felt the need to keep my conduit very clear for spirit to come into me. I've avoided really paying much attention to that part of the experience that a lot of people are having and talking about, with aliens and UFOs and all of that stuff. So it wasn't something that I obsess about or even read about that much. But because I find there's a lot of fantasy also, again, lack of discernment, I would say, when people start talking about this, because there's so many things that we don't understand, we can't understand from our current perspective down here. But so it was a shock to me when I was called to go outside, like at 5 a.m, and just in some bizarre way, I never am outside at that time. But I went outside, and there was many what I'm calling starships. They were unidentified, but I wasn't 100% sure that they were like non-human. It felt like they might be a very advanced technology, but also, something on this, with humans in it, running it, controlling it. I don't know. I don't know, but there were so many of them, and the synchronicity was bizarre because it was going. I live east of Austin in Bastrop, and it was going from Bastrop toward Austin over the airport, and there were at least 16 that I counted, but before I started counting, I know more had already moved off, and they were all really high in the sky, definitely not stars or airplanes. I see airplanes all the time. I'm so close to the airport. You can hear the airplane, you can see the lights flashing. I know what an airplane looks like. They were like way higher, and so many, and they were all moving, even though they were scattered around across the sky. They were moving all in unison, exactly the same speed as they passed through. Of course, tried to video them. And, after I, got over my disbelief of what I was seeing, it was just, it had a feeling of something very benevolent and beautiful and peaceful to me. As it was when there was no fear involved, and I'm real sensitive to energy, as you may have gathered.
Yeah.
And I just felt like happy and excited and.
You haven't, and just to go back, you haven't had an experience with ETs or any higher beings or anything. This is really truly your first experience, because you said in the beginning you were like blown away, like, whoa, what just happened, right?
Well. I have had things happen on the astral level of having a group of grays come in during a session with someone.
Wow. Okay.
That was alarming because they were not friendly feeling, and they wanted to take me with them. So I have had that experience.
Okay.
And I've seen I've seen multiple people who seem to be energetically, when I would see them or feel them, they would look like a human, but they were being controlled by a non-human being very clearly. One time, like an insectoid being, and another time by some sort of like synthetic being. So I've had those kind of things, but those are all like, personal in my space, not anything too much in the sky. Everyone sees stuff in the sky sometimes like, what is that? Or I'll see like one of those TR-3 ships that the big triangle craft. Those are clearly military. But no, nothing like this. I don't seek that out at all, because you can't know. And there's enough. I have enough stuff that I can't know.
Right. I don't need to be doing that. So when you saw this and everything you just felt this love and enjoy, like this love surrounding you from this.
Happiness.
Yeah. Because I think there are some negative information coming out that, that there are some negatives coming and, things. I've heard some mixed things from all over. But what you got was love.
100%. Yeah. And beauty and power. Like it felt like it was almost kind of like watching a fireworks show. You just see something that's so like grand and graceful and expansive, and it's an elevating experience. And I know there's people. I know there's all kinds of beings in this universe. I'm a believer. I just haven't done a lot of research into other people's experience. I know some people have really bad experiences being taken up, and that would be so traumatic and that sort of thing. But I felt no fear about that, and that's what motivated me a few hours later after I calmed down a little bit to do that meditation, to tune into them psychically and see if there was anything more that I should know, especially because I felt like somebody tapped on my shoulder and woke me up and told me to go outside.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're super in tune with this. Talking to Nancy, who is an energy practitioner. So Nancy, can we go back a little bit about you saying that you've had some grays that came in? Were they connected to a session that you had in a massage session? Can you say that? Go ahead.
Well, they were connected. They happened in a session where people, when they get to a certain level, can do like world work, where if you're both at a higher level of awareness and understanding, you can connect psychically, and you can I would call myself a seer. I'm not, instead of a medium. I can see things, so I can go kind of like a remote viewer.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that.
So,
were those grays attached? Were they coming for you, or were they kind of more attached to that person that you were working on?
No, this was like a once a week thing. A person would come, they would pay me to sit down with them, and I would be the seer for this person, and they would be like the facilitator for these different kinds of clearings or activations, or it was extremely woo-woo, let me tell you. So we were all over the planet, literally, and in the planet and over the planet. I never knew where we were going to go. We would just set the intention to help humanity, and then I would feel myself getting pulled someplace. I would tell them, like, this is what I'm feeling, and then they would do things, and we would do things together. So this was a time when I was feeling a little unsafe because it was almost kind of cavalier, the way the person would like to do it. And I was saying, I feel like we need to do more protection at the beginning, but that person didn't want to do that, and I was just going along with that. And so this was at the very start of the session, and we were sitting face-to-face in chairs, a few feet apart, and just getting into the meditation, and then I just felt the room, the astral space, which is the mental, emotional space of our mind, our psyche, fill up with these grays. And they didn't feel super dangerous, but they were definitely not well-intentioned. And they just, I expressed what I was seeing, and they said, well, we just want her. We don't want you. We want her. And I went, no, I don't want to go. And the most bizarre thing happened is that my current cat, he climbed up the back of the chair, and he put his paw right at the base of my neck, and they just disappeared from the astral. And then he crawled over to the other person's chair, climbed up the back of their chair, put his paw on the same vertebra, just right at the base of the neck, and then they were gone.
And that was it, just like that.
Just like that.
Wow. Yeah, cats are really, they're really magical. I like my two cats and I can always feel them. They're always with me. So I always go, okay, do I have a lot of stuff negative around me and they're trying to absorb it, or they feel my energy and that's where they want to be? I don't know.
They're intense allies, all of the above what you said, that they're protectors, they're communicators, they're little vampires. Yeah, they'll suck your warmth and stuff, but that's okay. They're incredible, highly advanced, awake on this soul level in ways that humans aren't.
Yeah. I want to say thank you so much for sharing that information that you got a couple weeks ago and what you see in the skies. Going forward with that, what do you think? Do you feel that we're going to have disclosure? I mean, do you think that that's going to come out? I mean, what are you sensing or what are you seeing? I mean, they showed you them, and then other people have, seen certain things as well. What do you think about the disclosure in this world?
It appears that there is a tight control being put on it, even in the last few years when there was supposed to be all these congressional hearings and we were supposed to start getting information, and a few people started putting little crumbs out there, and it just felt like, why is this all? If this is disclosure, this is kind of worthless. And I was kind of tracking that because it was something that felt more legitimate than a lot of this stuff. But I think that it has what I've come to is that there is a danger of destabilizing humanity. I'm really careful in who I share things with in these ways, and what I tell people, even about themselves sometimes, because keeping people emotionally stable, I feel, is the most important thing. It's so easy for us to go into fear and distortion and reactivity, and just get triggered by things that I feel like it's happening, but it's in a real, again, individualized manner, that the people who are getting it are getting it, and the people who know it. The information is there. It's been known about, at least since Eisenhower's time, at those upper echelons of the government. And, there's so much of, what it has been made available is just these tidbits and, or just incomplete information. And I just think you learn about all these underground bases and inner earth realities and different species and the technologies that are hidden from us and stolen from us and then utilized in other ways. It's just we've been so kept in the dark about so much, and maybe it's for our own good. I want to believe that it's really for our own good, because not everybody is able to manage that on top of already being overwhelmed just for life in the modern world.
Thank you so much for that. What do you think is going to be for mankind? What do you see for the next couple of years, especially for 2025? Let's just say that. What do you think is going to be kind of the big focus in 2025? Because I know the planets, we have a mutual friend, Shannon Gill. She's an amazing astrologer. She'll be on soon with us in the future on the show. But what do you think with everything for 2025? How are you seeing mankind?
Well, I don't really think of myself as a prophet. I can do future tracking to go out into the timeline of a person and do a reading on what's coming. I haven't done that for the planet. I know that Shannon's great about understanding the cycles and the astrological profile of what we're doing right now, and there's everything that she says are things that do come to pass, to manifest in some way. So I really trust her guidance on all that. I feel like we are finally having a renaissance of the human freedom and human expansiveness and it's a lot of these oppressive political structures that we have been operating under are, just like this intense bureaucracy and all this polarization. That feels like now that X is out there as a form of media that is not controlled by whoever, the beings in charge that are not always having our best interests at heart. That there's this economic exploitation has a chance of easing up, and new structures can be coming in. And I just love all of the "Make America Healthy Again" idea.
Yeah. And this is all part of what Shannon Gill talks about. We're moving out of Pisces and going into Aquarius. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. I thought it was Capricorn. My bad.
There's some Capricornian stuff going on strongly in Pluto. I know that. Capricorn is about structure. So yeah, moving. Yeah, I could not quote on all.
No,
of
me either.
No.
So that's why we're going to have her on. Just that moving out of that, going into that age of Aquarius and where we are, which is just fascinating because you just see everything that's happening around, and then you correlate it with the planets. Fascinating.
Yeah, you can see the power structures, finally starting to break down some of the things, the ways that have kept us stuck, kept us scared, kept us oppressed, and not able to really focus on these higher level processes and sick, all the time from what we have to eat, and big pharma and big farming and all these different ways that they've used to maintain this oppression machine, which I think this planet has always been about that. The structure, this three-dimensional structure, is very much materialistically controlled. That's the people who are in charge are the people who are pure materialists. Mm-hmm. And, that's okay because we are using this material realm for our spiritual evolution, but it's the nature of this planet to maintain this very hard-edged materialism. And for people who want to stay in that, basically like the blue pill people, they can do that. Mm-hmm. I think ultimately, eventually, everyone is going to have enough soul experiences and learn and evolve, and all of humanity at some point will go through these collective initiations so that everyone is experiencing a higher level of awareness and spiritual emotional health. You could say.
I love that, Nancy. Thank you so much for sharing your life with us. Thank you so much for everything that you do. If someone wanted to connect up and have a, and what do you call it exactly? If I wanted to have a session with you, let's say, what would you call that? If they wanted to have
it's different for different people, but
is it like a massage? I mean, are you doing some body work? Is that what it's called, basically?
I think it's energy work is a better
thank you.
basic term for it.
So if somebody wanted to connect up with you and maybe getting some energy work done with you, maybe if they have attachments on them or any of that kind of stuff that they need some help clearing, is there a way that they can get connected to you, or would they just go through me? Which one do you want to do?
LotusEnergyWork.com is the name of my website with all of my information on that. LOTUS energywork.com.
LotusEnergyWork.com. I love it. Simple and easy. And then
it has information about my school on there too. So
beautiful. Your school sounds amazing, and you sound just amazing. I'm excited. Someday you and I will cross paths. And thank you for everything that you do for this world. And just as you continue healing, and everybody continues healing, we all heal.
Wonderful. Well, it was so nice talking to you.
Thank you for listening to Open the Eye. To be a guest on the show, go to opentheye.com, or you can email at opentheye13@gmail.com. We appreciate you.